I was in a very emotional and mentally abusive marriage. I came to legal service by not being able to afford a lawyer. I knew that there was a need for me to leave that relationship, and there was a lot of fear because of the financial situation that I was in. My husband was keeping a lot of that finances under control in order to keep me in that marriage.
I was concerned about Christmas. I couldn't pay a $3,000 judgment. You know what I mean? I didn't have it. I mean, I got 3 children, a wife. We're trying to make it. And for me to pay that would have wiped Christmas out and everything.
It started years ago when my children were babies, when I was with their father. He was a Marine. He was Special Task Force. Very violent man later on in life after Desert Storm and stuff. I had problems with guns to my head and steel-toe boot to my nose, broke my nose, just different little things, and it went on and on. And
about 9 months, I lived in a lot of physical abuse. I wore makeup to hide bruises. I wouldn't go out of the house for weeks because I had bruises on me. I was ashamed. I felt like I was in a hole, a black hole, and I felt like I didn't exist as a person. That's the way he made me feel.
Those are just a few of the faces that represent nearly 700,000 people in Alabama who live below the poverty line. In a cruel twist of fate, many of those same people often fall victim to domestic violence, custody battles, fraudulent claims, predatory loans, and lost benefits, any of which require professional legal assistance. But the fact is, their income is so low they can't afford to hire an attorney, and without one, they could lose everything. So where do they turn? For more than 20 years, the dedicated attorneys and support staff of Legal Services Alabama, an independent nonprofit organization, have been reaching out to help people in need, providing free professional counsel and services in civil cases of all kinds, and helping turn what could often be devastating consequences into stories of hope and appreciation.
There's a difference, of course, in the criminal justice division of the courts and in the civil division. Constitutionally, people who are accused of crime have a right to counsel. If they can't afford counsel, the state is required to furnish it. That's not the case in civil litigation, although often the stakes can be as high in those civil cases as they are in criminal cases. But there is no Supreme Court ruling that says that everyone is entitled to counsel in every civil case. So that's the slot that Legal Services is filling when people are faced with important issues, life-affecting issues. They offer the services to people who otherwise can't afford counsel. It's vitally needed in our community, as I say, things such as housing, domestic violence, many of these areas where society has a terrible problem, and often the victims simply don't have the funds to be able to employ counsel.
Legal Services Alabama operates 10 offices throughout the state and serves a diverse array of clients, including people of all races, ethnic groups, and ages, most of whom are employed but are simply unable to pay for legal representation. Our cases range from civil matters such as family law, housing, and unemployment to government benefits and consumer protection, but the vast majority of our work involves helping victims of domestic violence.
Studies show domestic violence certainly is generational. If one is subjected to domestic violence, or if one witnesses as a child, then chances are that child will grow up to be an abuser, or that child will grow up to think it's quite all right to be subjected to abuse. And it is just so critical for lawyers to be available to assist women with children to get out of that situation, or at least to get some help in fixing the situation as best as it can be fixed.
Legal Services Alabama closes more than 10,000 cases statewide each year. But the need for our services far exceeds our capacity because among the 700,000 people in Alabama who live below the poverty line, it's estimated that 1 out of every 3 will have a legal problem in the next 6 months.
The biggest thing is that we're helping people that are usually at the lowest point in their life, or one of the lowest points in their life. They have needs that are immediate needs that those of us who are not daily struggling financially take for granted. By the end of the afternoon, I have a stack of what we call callbacks, a stack of applications from the majority of them are women. And I go through those usually every evening after I go home, my kids go to bed, and try to figure out which ones that we're going to take. There are times when it's just so hard, and sometimes I take more cases than I should, just so we can help one extra woman. I've got really good domestic violence attorneys in my office, but there's only so many that can help, and these cases take a lot of energy and a lot of time if you're going to really help them to get out of that situation. We just need more bodies in our office to be able to help more of these victims.
Legal Services Alabama, a handful of dedicated attorneys, paralegals, and support staff working tirelessly to provide legal representation to the people of Alabama who can least afford it but need it most.
Things are going good for us now. So I thank God every day for Legal Services.
They helped me get my life back on track. They're helping me get my career going by making sure I'm making the right decisions as far as contracts and doing things properly as far as contracts go, so that I don't mess up my life, because the goal is to support myself and to support my children.
I started that day. I made my mind up that I was not going to be a victim no more. I was going to survive. And from that day forward, I started getting better. And had it not been for Legal Services, probably, because I didn't have the resources to pay for a divorce, I would still be in that situation. I would still be there today.
There is help out there. Do not crawl into a dark corner and let anybody tell you that you are stuck, because there is help out there. That's how I came to Legal Service, by speaking up, talking to people, realizing that there was a problem, having the desire to leave. And it took a lot of courage, but it also took a lot of knowing that we will be fine because there will be somebody to help us.